Hi guys, welcome to Mystery Diagnosis. The next case I do in Mystery Diagnosis will be one of my videos I did for a live stream. I only did 2 live streams, so it will be a new video mixed with the old video, but my reaction will be new. Of course the title will be new and there's old stuff and new stuff mixed in the video.
On her skin. The rash would appear kind of blotchy. There was no real symmetry to it. So it was this mystery rash.
Of course, being a nervous mom, I took her to the pediatrician and inquired about it.
But then, in July of that year, the family moves into a new house. And suddenly, the rash disappears. The concerned parents breathe a huge sigh of relief.
The condo that we lived in New Jersey was an old condominium that forced hot air. We had never cleaned the ducts. This house had baseboard heat. She must have been allergic to something in the house.
Very peculiar about her new teeth.
I noticed there was white spotting, which they actually called decalcification. I worked for Colgate at the time and was very aware of dental development.
Bone disorder?
Low enamel coverage on her teeth. Probably because of the high fevers. And we said, okay, we understand that, and because she did have high fevers.
I know it's weird, but what made me think bone disorder is the calcification, calcium in bones.
6-year-old Gabby tells her parents, once again, that she isn't feeling well.
And I said, lay down on the couch and, just relax.
I took her temperature and it was at 103. So I said, okay, go rest. I'll put the TV on and I'll be right back.
But nothing could have prepared the Tallaricos for what they would find when they came back into the living room.
Her back was rigid. Her eyes were rolled into the back of her head. Fear. Could she breathe? I literally just grabbed her. I picked her up and we raced out the back door.
I put her on a IV drip to try to get her out of the seizure.
They just monitored her as she came out of the fever.
While the Tallaricos are waiting for someone to tell them what's going on, they're praying that the seizure hasn't caused any long-term damage to their little girl.
I was going to say
Finally,
about
after what
mystery
feels like an
diagnosis,
eternity, the medical team
they
returns
do
with a
do
diagnosis.
fake diagnosis.
They came out and they said, Mr. and Mrs. Tellerico, your daughter probably had a febrile seizure.
A febrile seizure is a convulsion triggered by a sudden spike in temperature that often occurs when an infection spreads through the body.
They said most children have febrile seizures between the age of infancy to 6. Gabby's 6, so it is kind of rare that she'd have her first seizure at this age, but not uncommon.
And within a couple of hours, she seems to be returning to her normal self. The doctors assure Heather and Todd that in most cases, febrile seizures aren't nearly as dangerous as they look, and Gabby's dismissed.
That's what I was telling you, that some seizures aren't bad. Like, you could have a seizure and you be completely normal within a few minutes, and then other types you're just convulsing, foaming at the mouth, and you can be like a vegetable and not able to walk.
Once again, she begins convulsing uncontrollably. In a state of panic, the Tallaricos again race their daughter to the hospital.
We were surprised because we were thinking that these seizures are going to go away because she's getting older.
They ran blood tests again. They gave her an IV drip.
They started also saying maybe we should rule out epilepsy.
Heather and Todd watch helplessly as the medical team performs a battery of tests to find out whether or not Gabby is indeed epileptic.
With all these monitors coming off her head, she looked like some creature from outer space.
That's
As a
what my
mom,
first
I need
seizure
an answer
test
what's going on with my
was.
daughter's health. I'm frustrated.
The wires, I remember them. I was like 4.
After an agonizing wait, the findings finally come in, leaving the Tallaricos with more questions than answers.
All the tests come back negative.
Let me make it more clear with seizures, depending on the type of seizure, like if you have a seizure for 5 minutes, you get brain damage. But if you have one for like 60 seconds, you're fine. So if you have seizures like every day, you're going to have brain damage. And if it's like weekly or monthly, you're okay and will not get brain damage. So to get brain damage from seizures, you have to have weekly mixed with for 5 minutes. One last thing before we get back into the video. My seizures is not epilepsy. It's the wrong type of seizure type because my seizures is back and forth like this. Epilepsy is where you're rigid on the ground, like foaming at the mouth and shaking. The seizure type I have, it's not a diagnosis, but the type of seizure I have is petit mal, which means like the seizures only last like 30 seconds. The petit mal is the least bad type of seizure. What it does is you're not focused for a few minutes, like, what do you want to eat? Chicken? And then it's like, yeah, I want chicken to eat.
The worried parents begin compulsively monitoring Gabby's temperature.
I don't blame you.
They're confident.
By the way, when I said
Early enough,
focal seizures are actually the least bad type, but some people don't know they have focal seizures, so I didn't count that. So the petit mal is the next least bad seizure, but I'm considering petit mal the least bad seizure.
We never wanted to see. We didn't want to see anymore.
now their lives are completely centered around keeping a watchful eye on their only daughter's health.
Having a seizure, and this one was really bad. She was frothing. Her whole body was distorted. It was horrible. You could just see it was so much more severe. I immediately dialed 911.
It's autoimmune polyglandular endocrinenapthy type 1.
APS type 1 or autoimmune polyglandular endocrinenapthy type 1. APS type 1 is a rare condition where basically there is failure of organs to function because of formation of antibodies attacking different organs.
Depending on how APS type 1 manifests, it can ultimately lead to diabetes, celiac disorder, anemia, or hepatitis, among other diseases.
Sounds fun, and I'm being
This, on top of the
sarcastic.
adrenal and parathyroid gland failure, can make APS type 1 a very complicated disease. There is no cure for APS type 1.
She will have to be on hormone replacement for the specific deficiencies that she has.
Today, Gabby is an active social preteen set on becoming a scientist or possibly a chef in the future.
Knock on wood has not had another seizure since she was diagnosed.
That's wonderful.
Having a disease didn't stop me for doing basketball, soccer, swimming.
Let me know in the comments if you think my editing style is getting better, because I think it is. Bye.